Hello, this is Ever Pierce with Einstein 314. This is duly noted under the communications, and this is the part 3 to we was giving insight to a terrorist attack or a lone gunman of that sort. Now, what I said in the first 2 parts, I want to clarify some things in addition to what I've already said. Okay. And it's just 3 minutes after 1 p.m. Now, in an event like in the airport with the luggage, now the solution to transferring the gun is that you would have a security that would grab his and see to it that he gets in his taxi or his car and to see him off. Because as we learn with this attack, killing 5 people, injuring 8, is there are simple remedies to rectify that. Because if someone's picking up their luggage amongst a lot of people around that area, you want to, as we are learning now, you want to avoid that. So at the same time, is you don't want to disrespect people. So if I'm your security and you have an AK-47, whether you're part of the government or no part of the government, you have to have this illustration of you got things under control, or not under control, but you're taking certain tactics of awareness, simple power observation. When they see that you are having things in place that symbolizes you have a sense of awareness and sense of structure, a sense. That's why we have to protect our borders, because when it sees that we are discombobulated, as I illustrated in that video, is people cannot, if they were to zigzag, is you have inexperienced individuals in a crisis situation that the way they react will actually get them killed. Okay, so in the event you're facing this gunman, okay, first of all, a stampede, and they say, get down, get down. Some people will take that literally. Now, if you didn't pay attention behind you and there's a stampede and you get down, you'll be stomped on. And then you'll die. So that's why you have to have the sense of awareness around you. So if you're in the middle of a stampede, you don't get down. Now you have to use other tools available to increase the probability of survivability, self-preservation. So if the gunman's here and he's facing me, then you turn sideways. Okay, if you happen to have a child, like on a backpack, or even the front, is now, as we know with square, diagonal, 45, is longer than this. So if I have a child on my back, and I'm about 45 degrees. That means he's straight on to me. If he shoots into me, then there's going to be distance between entering my body and hitting my child. Okay. Now, he may have a high-power rifle, and it can go through 10 people. Okay, but that you have to put that out of your mind. You have to focus on certain protocols of things to increase survivability, because you might turn yourself sideways 45 degrees and your organs diverted the bullet and it went away from your child. Okay, that's why I say this. So it's better if you're going to go down, at least go down swinging. Don't just go down and say, oh shit, I'm fucked. So there's certain protocols at hand. Now, if you're caught into the very thing that was contributing to Hillary not winning this presidential race, is, as we see with a stampede of energy. Stampede can come in many different ways, and we've seen illustrations of it. When you get so many people and all that, so much energy going forward, you either go with it or you die, or you get stampede on, or so we know the realities. We hold these truths to be self-evident because of what has happened in the past. So if I'm facing my gunman and I can't get down, we're in a stampede, and this stampede doesn't realize there's a gunman right ahead of us, then I turn sideways. So you have to use other skill sets. And then, yeah, you're going to have to run sideways. And if you have a child, then try to keep yourself 45 degrees. And if your child's on the front side, then you're going to have to learn how to run backwards. That may, for example, I can't even walk frontwards. Well, that's why we have to have preparedness. That's why we practice certain things. So if I get a baby on the front side, either one, if I'm able to switch it around real quick, okay, because you want to protect the child. You are its line of defense because it surely cannot protect itself, especially, a young child. So if it's on the front side, then I'm going to have to run backwards and keep it at 45 degrees in hopes that in my angle of it, it diverts the bullet away from the child. Now, it may kill you, but if you have a child and you're a parent, any parent would be more than willing to lay down their life in hopes to save their child. So that's why we have to know certain things that we're in terms of crisis situation. So if we're in a stampede and it's not tight, okay, start zigzagging. And then if other people are not, say if I'm running and we're in a linear line and it's a gunman, I'll say, say we're running. I start zigzagging. Now I see other people forming lines. We got a line. And it's like, oh shit, we got a line. So people start offsetting. So as you are putting that discombobulation in there, and you're seeing other people just kind of forming a line, because as I illustrated in the part 2 of this duly noted communications, is you have to be aware of your surroundings for survivability. So, and you can use many different communications. Okay, so if you're forming a line, you say, spread out, or say something of the sort. So that's why it's important to have educational videos. You set up a certain situation. That's why we have fire drills. And even though it's a drill, people go through the motions of it. Okay, but that's not the same as being in the real situation. So not only do you have to have an educational video, especially on terrorists and gunmen and stuff, what to do and how to do it. And then within there, you can't tell people because you want to also develop people's sense in truism. So you'll stage it up, but you stage up in a way where it's not at a heightened, but there's enough elements there of realism that people, so like if I do a real situation, gunman, and people start zigzagging, and you say, okay, stop, just a test. And have enough people to facilitate it so it doesn't get out of control. And then people say, oh my God, I thought that was the real thing. And you say, well, thank you. What you guys just did today give me insurance that in event this was a real situation, you know how to react. And so when you're in front of a gunman, you're 5 feet away, what do you do for survivability? If anything, if you're a gunman, I might have to sacrifice myself. Okay, you can say, well, that's a lot to ask for a lot of people. But if I know if I can run at him fast enough, even if he puts a couple of shots at me and it's not in my head, I can get at least close to him. Even if it diverts him off his path or confuses him, then I know I have at least changed the alternate path. Okay, if I'm that close to him, I'd be willing to take a bullet in hopes that you don't hit me in the freaking head along the way. But my momentum is going forward. And as we know with laws of energy, is once you get that snowball in motion, and that's why, Japanese were effective. As long as they have to get to a certain point. So even if they took the plane out and killed the guy, we still have the laws of energy. It has to come down in a projectile path. So if I'm advancing myself all I can get and he shoots me in the head, I'm going to lump forward in hopes that I land on him. And then I'm discombobulating him. And then he might be able to get up and start shooting. But I may have just saved 5 people. It just depends on the severity and where you're at in this event, this situation that's unfolding. And that will determine as to what I need to do. Now, some people will say, well, hell, I ain't throwing myself at a gunman. So these are other factors that you also have to take in effect. Now, of course, the main objective is no tragedy or no deaths. But if there has to be a death in there, that we have at least someone in there who is able to assess the situation and do the best possible. And both choices may suck. But I'd rather lay down my life knowing that I saved 10 people. And of those 10 people, 4 of them were children. So that's, when it comes to self-preservation and life, and your true enemy is extinction, you will find yourself being able and capable on this sixth heaven. You're an apprentice of being a leader of leaders. That you'll find these certain abilities coming out of you, and you didn't realize you even had them. But you have to be prepared. So that's why I had to reiterate a little bit as far as giving people the idea, because they say, get down, and 10 people get down, and then the whole stampede trips over them. And then the gunman just says, it's like taking candy from a baby. Thank you for helping me. Ba, 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 ba. So just think about these things, and I hope that our government and certain institutions and skilled individuals out there can put alongside fire drills to give some information to people, give them options, democracy. If you find yourself in this situation, this is what you do. You find yourself in this situation, this is what you do. If you got a gun to your head and he's already killed 10 people, don't worry about it. Because you're not going to feel a thing. But this is not a joking matter. Okay? But as a teacher and using languages and stuff, I have to be effective on many different fronts. And the information I bring forth also have to be effective. So if you forget what I tell you, it's kind of like I'm wasting my time. And then you end up being dead anyways. So I have to be more effective than anything, to the best that I am capable and knowing that I'm able to do. And then the rest part, like taking a horse to water, then the rest of the part is you acting out of reflex of doing the right thing. And as we in Fort Lauderdale today, we already had an incident in Orlando, Florida, at the gay bar. I lived in Florida, and I had a lot of friends who were gay, even though I'm heterosexual. And I've been in some of those bars. I didn't have a problem with gay people because I understand gay people are part of the ecosystem. And it's not my sexuality, it's not my orientation, but everything in your environment communicates to you. Everyone is a tool. And if you learn how to communicate and organize and practice, you'll find that even if you're in a crisis situation, you greatly minimized it. So instead of being the tragedy being at 80% and people in the hundreds are dying, you only have a few. So like what had happened here, had the second scare and people running out on tarmac, if there was a second gunman, he would have killed you all. Or at least say 70% of it. If I was a sniper, look at it from a sniper of warfare, I would eliminate at least 70% of you, and then I would reposition myself where you bottleneck yourself again or line yourself up that puts you in a disadvantage, and then I take the rest of you guys out. Okay, and the reason why I'm telling this is I'm about forever life, self-preservation. We have a lot of people out there that ain't, or they're not. It's like we don't conform to their thinking, they're going to want to kill us. That is what we're up against. And I want to kick extinction right in its ass and say, hey, you don't want to destroy it, but I'm going to let you know who's your daddy, who's your boss. But when it gets too big and it says, hey, who's your daddy? Then you know you're screwed. Okay, so we'll end it right there. So being prepared, preparation, awareness. And if there's anyone from now on, and what I see in the field of energy, simple power observation is your salvation. It really is. It really, really is. So Put on your evolutionary glasses, be aware, and don't overreact, don't underreact, just act according to what you're subjected to. You may not like a stampede and like the energy that the Democrat Party created for Hillary. Basically, Hillary was on a fail, and she didn't even get started in her campaign. That's of the things that is out there. There's 3 of them that I'm leaving out. Okay, but what I've already mentioned in Duly Noted 9 about how and why Hillary failed to be the president. Okay, and these are just, it's like an opening statement. I haven't, the 3 elements of certainty as to why she failed. I don't need to bring them forward. It's like I have 10 tanks. One of my tanks will take your whole city out. So I don't need to bring my 9 tanks, but if have to, I can. And it's like affirmative action. Okay, why do we understand certain things? And why we have certain things when they have telltale signs, there's knowledge and application of how you carry it out. So I also made a video on affirmative action in terms of fairness, collective knowledge. And because a leader of leaders, president of presidents, need this collective knowledge. Because some things may not have any rhyme or reason to it, but there will be enough using the chicken concept. If it looks like a chicken, it sounds like a chicken, it has feathers like a chicken, it walks like a chicken, and you say, wait a minute, oh, but it speaks English. Wait a minute, that's not a fucking chicken. That's from Mexico. That son of a bitch put them across back that border. ¿Qué pasa? No, but the thing is, that's why we have this in our justice system. Beyond a reasonable doubt. If it looks like this and this and this and this and this and this and this, accumulation, collective knowledge. And then you say, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I'm going by the feedback which I have. And in many situations, that's all the energy, highest form of evolution, is requiring of you. So if you do what is required of you and stay to a certain format of things, then energy, God himself, or Lucifer, who is the negative positive, I call the death energy, meaning that it will be your ally to keep death from coming to you. And I label it death energy. But your true enemy is extinction. For every action, there's a reaction. You're going to be forever life, there's forever death. That's extinction. It's just in a different form of life that you're unused to, or used to. So if there's another name to extinction, we call that the devil. Okay, not Lucifer. So that's why we have to understand, just like a master chess player, know our pieces. How to use it, how to use each other, how to in sync each other, just like we have in Olympics, synchronized swimming. Is we have to learn these skill sets and develop them, how to sync up. Then it makes us stronger. So the double-bladed sword, symbolism. If you use the sword right, it becomes your salvation. If you use it incorrectly, like I illustrated in part 2 of forming a line. Now that might work with a fire drill, but it doesn't work in someone who has an AK-47. Is you have to put as much discombobulation, as possible. Now, if you notice a lot of police there's another thing. You could be discombobulation and the police may not, especially if the gunman is in the middle of you somehow. And he's in the middle going like this. Do something that is not associated to someone of that sort. Put your hands up. Put your hand like this. If you put your hands like this, for example, and that's what we see in the police. Well, if you got your hands like this to the officer, first of all, he knows you don't have a gun. Okay? And the one that's shooting is the one that doesn't have his fucking hands on his head because he's holding the rifle. Then you don't discombobulate your police. So if people are running up like this, then the cop looks for the person who doesn't. And then he sees that and he says, oh, he's got a gun. Bang. So that's working together in sync, communications. So, and I'm very honored to come forth with this video. I don't have to do this, but because I am about life and self-preservation. You say, aren't you worried about teaching the bad guy? No. They can only learn so much. They can only develop so much. And it's like a frown. They have to do so much extra stuff to have that advantage. Okay, so if you're doing the right thing, it makes it easier for you. And with a lot of things, coming down to that last final decision, either makes you or break you. And someone who is ill intent is going to make mistakes. So essentially, it comes down to the person who makes the least amount of mistakes. So that's the safety. That's the insurance when it comes to life versus death. Extinction. Extinction is good. It's highly skilled. It's awesome. But I notice that it makes mistakes. And I take note of it. And I use it to my advantage. Now, I say extinction. I don't say nation or genders. But when this guy goes to Alaska and says, hey, I got voices in my head, and the psychiatrist thinks his brain is broken, bleeding out, frequencies, as we learned early on, that if you have a signal out there in cell phones, that some signals can bleed into each other. And that's the significance or the valuable skill set of Bill O'Reilly or Brett Barr or Tucker Carlson, people of Fox News, Hannity, is just the tones of their thing is in reference to extinction, is just by listening to them, and if extinction is at play, and then it'll bring some reality back to him, and it's like he doesn't think that this is a dream. Well, you come and you take his hope and faith away, and now he doesn't know what the fuck is real or not real, and he's just going to act. Because to him, it's like this is a fucking dream. Obviously, it's not a dream to us. And extinction plays people like that. When you become weak, your health is falling, your mental health, you're not eating right, you're not sleeping right. When you get things out of sorts of things, that's why we got to rectify our health system. Everything is really needs an overhaul. And that's what Mr. Trump, and that's why it's the significance of Mr. Trump. So, and once we get these things in place and we see the feedback from it, and you'll have a spiritual awakening. You'll say, how in the hell did we ever get in that level of living our life? Now that you see the difference, contrast. So yeah, and another thing on this is like I have the green light for departure. Means my purpose here is done. I've taken the horse to the water, but I can't make the horse to drink the water. There's also an element of bringing me forth, making me part of this equation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you are the 1, then I'm the 9. But a lot of people, they don't humble themselves. They don't take an account of all the tools available, and they seem to forget Darrell Everett. And they say, well, he's just a crazy man. He listens to voices. Say, no. Yeah, these voices tell me where not to be because someone there has got a fucking gun. So, pardon my expression. I am an exception to the laws of energy. I have to have open realms of my communication. And if people get to know me, when I use certain words, it's not in a means of insulting. Or if I say, you are freaking pathetic. And people will get, they get offended by it. But when you stop and think about being pathetic, it means that you are capable of 90%. Why did you put 40% effort into it? And everyone can agree to that because each and every day we know how much we're putting into our lives. That's why I coined the old quote. What you put into it is what you get out of it. So, it's exception to the laws of energy, like we've seen with Mr. Trump, using certain particular words. Now, with some people out there, and they say, he cussed, he said the F word, oh my God, you're going to go to hell in a handbasket, and say, okay, I'm going to save you some money. You don't have to buy a handbasket, and I will take myself there. I know I stand on solid foundation. principles. I'm willing to die for it. It's an element I'm willing to give you, not take. Okay, there's a difference. People are willing to kill people for what they can get. People who lay down their life is what they can provide you. Because they know there's the repercussions on it on a much greater level for future generations. Just like Abraham Lincoln, which was part of my previous life. I was willing to die for my principle, 13th Amendment. And here I am seeing the results of the 13th Amendment. Women are voting. We have everyone out there. They're not under shackles and chains and being whooped and hung from trees. So I know when you stand on solid principles, you cannot deviate from it. You know, once you establish things like I just pointed out, and it's in Florida, and you say, how do you survive against an alligator chasing you down? An alligator runs in this linear path. So if it's in a linear path, then you have to do this, because that's where its kryptonite is. That's where it can't do very well. And you cannot maneuver it. Just like in football, you get the person in a zigzag. And now it comes down to your skill set of being able to keep up and counter my movement. But, you know, if it's a fire drill, well, you want to keep it organized and in sync, because no one's shooting at you. You just want to stay calm, cool, and collective, and be aware of your surrounding. And then you'll, if it has to happen, you pick the lesser of the evils versus the worst of the evils. Now, that's an old saying that's used. It means negative or destructive energy. And people understand that. In terms of evolution, back years ago, when you say evils, they understood that. But if you started explaining to them in more of a technical, jargon and everything else, they're like, it's like showing my smartphone to a caveman. They're like, what? What is that? I don't know. Are you the sun god? Oh, you're the sun god. The communication god. Oh, ho, ho, ho. So, that's my feeble attempt to humor. But this is reality. So with that, we'll end it right there. This is Everett Pierce with Duly Noted Communications. Things that I can provide you with my skill sets that will help you to minimize any future events. With that, I appreciate your time. And before I leave, if you feel compelled, you want to donate, you want to give a love gift, or whatever you want to call it, I've opened that door opportunity for you to give back. I'm not charging money for this video, but you can go to PayPal, PayPal.me, capital EVERETT, capital PIERCE. So PayPal.me/Everett Pierce. With that, thank you for your time and Godspeed.